Uloma had always been a very lazy child. In addition to being lazy, she was also very stubborn and a big bully. On top of that, she was also very gluttonous. She would always bully her classmates in school, take their lunch boxes and eat their food. Uloma, who was 21, would sit at home doing nothing but eating, painting her nails, and taking care of her body. Uloma, who herself was 27, had no one coming for her hands in marriage, but the reason for that is not far-fetched. Her size, her laziness, her gluttony, and worst of all, her violent and mischievous attitude made all the men in the village avoid her like a plague. Once upon a time, in a small village called Umofa, there lived a young man named Kachiku. Kachiku and his wife Chinoye were successful maize farmers. They had three beautiful children, Uloma, Chidera, and Azuka. Uloma was the first child, followed by Chidera, then Azuka. Growing up, Uloma had always been a very lazy child. In addition to being lazy, she was also very stubborn and a big bully. On top of that, she was also very gluttonous. Her parents tried all they could to ensure she behaved like her two younger siblings, but to no avail. She would always bully her classmates in school, take their lunch boxes and eat their food. Everyone in her school was scared of her because of her size. She became very fat as a result of her gluttony. They couldn't report her bullying to their form teacher nor the headmaster because Uloma threatened to beat up whoever tried to report her. If any of you little rats try to report me to the form teacher or headmaster, I will beat you up and tie you to a tree, Uloma would say to her classmates. When some parents in the village became aware of what Uloma was doing to their children in school, they reported the matter to the headmaster, Mr. Ibe, who denied having knowledge of the matter. Mr. Ibe called Uloma and some of the students to his office and questioned them in the presence of their parents. They were too scared to tell the truth because they knew the consequences. So they lied that Uloma never bullied them nor ate their lunch. Their parents were disappointed. Left with no other option, the parents organized themselves into a small group and marched to Uloma's parents' house to air their grievances about their daughter Uloma. Kachiku and his wife were very surprised to hear their daughter was bullying other children at school and eating their lunch. Of course, they knew what Uloma was capable of, but they never knew it had gotten to that level. So, they apologized and promised their aggrieved parents that Uloma would not repeat such behavior ever again. Later that night, her father Kachuku sat Uloma down and said to her, Uloma, I will withdraw you from school and send you to work in a farm if I hear any reports from your school that you ever bully any student again. From that day on, Uloma stopped bullying her classmates. She became very friendly with them. At 21 years old, Uloma was still a lazy, mischievous girl. She continued to be a glutton, which made her grow bigger than her other siblings. Kachiku's farm became very big. He was producing maize all year round, making him the only farmer in Umofa and environ, whose farm had the capacity to produce maize in and out of season. Azuka, now 17, always helped his father in the farm, while Chidera, who was 19, helped her mother in the storehouse to sort out and distribute the maize to customers. While her two siblings were busy assisting their parents in the family business, Uloma, who was 21, would sit at home doing nothing but eating, painting her nails, and taking care of her body. She hardly cooked, cleaned, or did any chores in the house. For Uloma not to become a liability to her, Chinoye, her mother, registered her in a hairdressing salon to learn how to make hair. But after just 5 days, she was chased out of the salon and warned never to return again for fighting with a customer. Her mother again registered her in a tailor's shop to learn tailoring. Uloma, in her usual character, beat up the owner of the shop when she told her, "Uloma, you are not allowed to eat at work. You can only eat when you get to your house." Chinoye made a last attempt by opening a small roasted corn business for Uloma with the hope that she would become successful at it, since she couldn't learn any other handwork successfully. Surprisingly, Uloma hardly came home with enough money to buy her supplies for the next day. She would eat half of the corn and sell the remaining half, so the business collapsed in no time. Frustrated by her constant disappointment, Chinoye sent Uloma to a faraway village to live with her elder sister, Uloma's auntie. Uloma wasn't happy with the idea of leaving her parents to stay with an auntie she barely knew, but she obeyed regardless. Uloma hated it at her aunt's place. She found it very difficult to fit in. Whenever she went to the market, the villagers would stare at her in amusement because of her size. She struggled to make friends. Her aunt and her husband didn't make life any easier for Uloma. They would send her to the stream to fetch water, tear firewood for cooking, and pound plantain, things she wouldn't do at her parents' place. When she couldn't take it anymore, she decided to run away. So one day, when her aunt and her husband went for an occasion in the neighboring village, Uloma packed up all her belongings and ran out of the house back to Umofa, to her parents' house. When her parents saw her, they were shocked. "Uloma, what are you doing here?" her father demanded. "I have moved back home," Uloma replied. "Moved back to where?" her mother asked angrily. Uloma was shocked at her parents' hostile reception, so she decided to play the victim's card. She told them how her auntie and her husband would make her stay awake all night working in the kitchen, how they would give her half portion of food and abandon her alone in the house for days. She feigned crying to perfect her act. Her parents, despite knowing she was lying, still let her in. When Chidera turned 25, she was the admiration of the whole village. All the eligible young men in the village wanted her hand in marriage. Chidera was confused. She didn't know who to choose. Meanwhile, Uloma, who herself was 27, had no one coming for her hand in marriage, but the reason for that is not far-fetched. Her size, her laziness, her gluttony, and worst of all, her violent and mischievous attitude made all the men in the village avoid her like a plague. Her parents became very worried for her. They did everything within their power to make her change her ways, but all their efforts yielded no result. As different men were coming for her younger sister's hand in marriage, Uloma became jealous. She wished the men would ask her hand in marriage as well or even notice her. Meanwhile, Uloma had a very close friend, Amarachi. Amarachi was the only friend who could tolerate Uloma's excesses. They had been friends since their school days. Amarachi was a very beautiful girl, but just like Uloma, she was very lazy, arrogant, and self-centered. One day, Uloma told Amarachi about all the suitors that were coming to ask for her sister Chidera's hand in marriage. She told her, "Nobody looks at me nor asks for my hand in marriage." "Stop crying, Uloma," Amarachi said with concern in her voice. "Am I not beautiful enough?" Uloma asked. "You know you are the most beautiful girl in this whole village. These men are too blind to see," Amarachi replied. Amarachi's response lifted Uloma's mood a bit, so the two friends plotted on what to do to make the attention of the men shift from her sister Chidera to her. Amarachi came up with a plan. She told her friend that whenever she noticed any of her sister's suitors coming, she should wear revealing clothes and take out her clothes and start washing in front of the hut. With that, the men would notice her beauty. Uloma was very excited to hear her friend's grand idea. She thanked her and left. So, the next time a man came looking for Chidera, Uloma did exactly as Amarachi suggested. She wore a beautiful purple gown revealing her body and took out her clothes to wash. But to her greatest surprise, the man did not notice her nor say a word to her. She tried it over and over again, but met with disappointment each time. So, she devised another plan. This time around, she would sit outside the hut and start doing her makeup for hours whenever her sister's suitors were around. She did it the first time, no result. The second time, no result. And the third time, the same thing, no result, as none of the men neither looked at her nor spoke to her. She became very sad and bittered. She started thinking to herself, since all my plans to get this man's attention have failed, I have to find a way to make sure Chidera doesn't accept any of them. Uloma suddenly became very interested in discussing her sister's suitors with her. She asked Chidera, of all the handsome men asking for your hand in marriage, which of them do you like? Chidera was surprised at first because Uloma had never discussed relationship issues with her, let alone her suitors. So, she happily told her, I think I like Chita, Chidi, and Ebube. They seem kind and gentle. Uloma was happy in her heart that she finally knew the men her sister was interested in. She told her, Chita, Chidi, and Ebube are very nice men. I have heard a lot of good things about them. I'm sure any of them will make a good husband for you. Chidera smiled hearing those sweet words from her beloved older sister. When Uloma left her sister, she went straight to her friend Amarachi. She told her about Chidera's interest in the three young bachelors. Once again, they planned on how to use the information against her. They concluded they would ensure Chidera didn't marry any of these men. One fateful afternoon, Uloma called her sister to her room and told her, Chidera, since after our last discussion, I have been thinking, is it not wise for you to get to know each of these men better before finally deciding on who to settle down with? Chidera reasoned for a while and said, Uloma, that is true. Oh. How come I never thought about it? She then asked, but how do I get to know them better? Uloma told her, it is very easy. You can go and visit them at their place or go out to somewhere quiet where you can freely have meaningful discussions with them. Uloma further told her that whenever she's ready to go see her suitors, she should let her know so she could prepare her properly. What her big sister said made a lot of sense to her, so Chidera thanked her and told her she would do exactly as she suggested. One afternoon, Chidera excitedly told Uloma that she and Ebube planned to meet at the village secret garden that evening. Uloma was very excited for her. She prepared her for her meeting as promised. Then, Uloma went to her friend Amarachi to tell her about her sister's meeting with Ebube. Going with their plan, Amarachi went straight to Chidi, one of Chidera's other suitors, to tell him that Chidera would be at the secret garden alone that evening. If you really want to have her as your wife, this is your only chance to spend time with her and get to know her better, she said to him. Chidi was very excited because he had always been praying for an opportunity to spend alone time with Chidera. Ebube got to the garden before Chidera. He sat, gazing at the colorful birds and listening thoughtfully to their sonorous sounds, waiting for his love to join him for their date. Few moments later, Chidera arrived looking all beautiful and radiant. Ebube was in awe of her beauty. He complimented her and thanked her for coming. While the two lovebirds were chatting, holding hands and basking in the euphoria of the moment, Chidi, the uninvited guest, arrived at the garden with a small basket of gifts he had gotten for Chidera. But to his disappointment, he saw his beloved Chidera happily holding hands with another man. He stood in shock for a moment, contemplating on what to do. Should I walk away or confront her? He asked himself. After a while, he dropped the gift of basket on the ground and walked away with a heavy weight of sadness in his heart. At the end of their date, Ebube told Chidera, I really enjoyed the time we spent together today. Can we meet up here again in 3 days? Me too. I enjoyed every moment of it. Of course, we should meet again in 3 days, Chidera said with a smile on her face. When Chidera got home, she joyfully told her sister all about her dates. She also told her that they planned on meeting same time again in 3 days. Uloma told Chidera how happy she was for her. The following day, Uloma and Amarachi met again to deliberate on their next move. This time around, they agreed that Chidera should invite Cheta to spend alone time with her at home. So, Uloma told Chidera, since you are meeting with Ebube in 3 days, why not invite Cheta to the house tomorrow evening when Papa and Mama have gone for the weekly town hall meeting so you can get to know him too? Chidera, without hesitation, agreed to invite him over. The following day, Amarachi, as usual, went to Ebube to tell him that Chidera had been down with fever since their last meeting at the royal garden, and that she asked her to come and inform him. Ebube was surprised and saddened hearing the news, so he asked, Can I come see her right away? You can't come right away, but in the evening during the town hall meeting you can come. She'll be at their courtyard waiting for you, Amarachi responded. When Chita came over that evening, he met Chidera waiting at their courtyard, looking all beautiful in her gorgeous red gown. He was enchanted by her mesmerizing beauty. He handed her a red rose flower. They sat down and happily spent the whole evening chatting and getting to know each other. Meanwhile, while Chidera and Chita were having their date at the courtyard, Ebube came to see Chidera, whom Amarachi told him was sick. To his greatest surprise, he saw Chita and her at the courtyard talking and laughing heartily. He was confused. I thought Amara said she was sick. Isn't she the same person laughing with Chita? Ebube asked himself. Now I know better, he said to himself and walked away in anger and disappointment. The following day, Chidera went to the royal garden for a second date with Ebube as planned. When she got there, she didn't meet Ebube there. She thought maybe he was only running late, so she sat down waiting patiently for him. She waited the whole evening with no sign of Ebube. She was very upset and worried at the same time. If he wasn't ready to meet up, why did he ask in the first place, or did anything happen to him? Those were the questions on her mind as she walked back home that night. On getting home, Chidera told her sister what happened, how Ebube stood her up. Sorry about that, my dear, but are you sure he is okay? He is not sick or something? Uloma asked rhetorically, then suggested that Chidera go visit him the next day to ensure he was okay and to find out why he didn't show up for their date. Uloma, that's a very good idea. I'll go to his place once I finish helping Mama out at the storehouse tomorrow, Chidera responded. The next day, as part of their plan, Amarachi went to Chita's place to tell him about Chidera and Ebube. She said, I know how much you love Chidera. Uloma told me you spent some time with her yesterday at her place. But do you know as we speak, Chidera is with Ebube at his place? Cheta was confused. Why are you telling me all this? He asked calmly. Amarachi responded, Nothing, no. I just wanted you to know you are not the only man in her life. Cheta further asked, So what is Chidera doing with Ebube at his place? What else will a woman be doing with a handsome young man like Ebube at his place? Amarachi asked. Cheta looked bewildered. Amarachi further added, If you don't believe what I'm saying, you can come with me to Ebube's place to find out for yourself. So, both Amarachi and Cheta went to Ebube's place. When they got there, Amarachi suggested they hide behind a hut and wait for Chidera to come out of the house. Meanwhile, when Chidera got to Ebube's place, she met his mom in the compound sweeping. She greeted her politely and told her she came to see Ebube. His mom told her that she didn't think Ebube wanted to see her. She asked in shock, But why doesn't he want to see me, Mama? She told Chidera what her son told her happened when he came to see her when she was sick. Chidera became even more confused. Mama, me? Sick? I don't understand. I haven't fallen sick in years now. I don't know where he got that information from. Then Chidera opened up to Ebube's mom, telling her how much she loved her son. She told her about Cheta and Chidi, her other two suitors, and how her sister Uloma suggested she got to know all three of them first before settling for any. Immediately she said all that, the old woman said to her, My daughter, your sister is probably behind all this. My sister is behind what, Mama? She curiously asked. Ebube's mother told her it was Amarachi, her sister's best friend, that came to tell Ebube she was sick and suggested he visited her that evening during the town hall meeting. She also told her that Chidi's mother told her how Amarachi asked Chidi to come to the royal garden the evening she had her first date with Ebube. Everything became very clear to Chidera. She then understood why her sister suddenly became very interested in her relationship. She begged Ebube's mother to talk to her son and explain everything to him. Fortunately for Chidera, the mother was able to talk to her son on her behalf. So, Chidera went in to see him. They had a great time together that evening. When it was getting dark, Ebube saw her off, both holding hands, walking and laughing joyfully. Chita and Amarachi watched in anger and disappointment from where they were hiding, as the two lovebirds locked hands and strode majestically on the dusty street with their laughter echoing in the air that early evening. Amarachi quickly rushed to tell Uloma how she saw Ebube and Chidera holding hands and laughing. The two evil friends became very troubled. Uloma exclaimed, Chineke, our secret is out. Chidera must have found out what we did. She asked Amarachi, What do we do now, Amara? Amarachi told her, Uloma, we will do nothing. Let's just relax and see what happens. When Chidera got home, she told Uloma everything Ebube's mother told her about her best friend Amarachi. She then asked if she knew anything about it. Uloma denied any knowledge of what Amarachi did and promised Chidera that she would mercilessly deal with Amarachi for betraying her and trying to sabotage her relationship with her suitors. Chidera only smiled and went into her room. The relationship between Ebube and Chidera grew stronger by the day. Soon, Ebube proposed to Chidera, which she gladly accepted. After a few weeks, he came with his family for a formal introduction and to officially ask Chidera's hand in marriage. A small introduction ceremony was held in Chidera's family compound. Uloma was very sad and bitter seeing her younger sister at the verge of getting married while she was still single with no suitor coming for her. Amarachi, her only friend, cheered her up saying, "Don't give up yet, Uloma. I have other plans, plans that would interest you." What do you think Amarachi and Uloma did next? I'd love to hear your opinion in the comment section. And please don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you don't miss out on my next update. Thank you for watching. Bye.